Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fred the Show. And today it's an episode we're calling So You Decided to Buy a Home. And we got two guests that know exactly what we are talking about. Rick Horne is here. He is the broker in charge and the owner of Custom Realty. John Higdon is here, Senior Vice President, Mortgage Division, First Reliance Bank. First of all, it's great having the two of you here. And full disclosure, we have known each other for more than 30 years. So we will try to be on our best behavior today, right?
Absolutely.
That's correct.
Thanks for having us, Fred.
The good news is that I think that the statute of limitations has run out on most of the stories we could bring back from the old days.
That's
a
good.
good thing.
I know, exactly. There's a lot of things that need to be buried in the past. But speaking of the past, okay, we've known each other more than 30 years. John, you've lived here for decades. Rick, you grew up here, Spartanburg. I've lived here now for 40 years, just about. So can you just, and let's maybe just start with Greenville. What have you guys just seen change over these decades?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, big question.
I mean, Rick, I'll just go quickly. Just say I moved here in 1992, and I mean, I think there was one restaurant or one bar downtown, and now it's a destination city. So we've seen a lot. I mean, Rick, it's crazy.
Absolutely, and the whole upstate. It's not just Greenville. Everybody looks at downtown Greenville as the anchor, and I guess that's somewhat true, but Spartanburg's had tremendous growth, quality growth. Builders are coming here from all over the country, and it's a fantastic place to be.
Yeah, let me mention this I remember, I think it was 60 Minutes, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and they did a piece where they were talking about where all the remote workers were going. You know, they're all leaving Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. And they said the two main cities they were moving to were Austin, Texas, and Greenville, South Carolina, which made me think, cool, and then, oh, great, now everybody knows. And are you guys, what have you seen over these last few years?
Well, I don't know if y'all saw, I think it was a week or two ago, Jamie Dimon, he talked about Greenville, South Carolina. So it's one of those, Fred, will this get out all over the nation? Because
yes,
I think we really need to have Greenville sort of be quiet, but it is just a wonderful city. Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson are just a great area. And like I said, when I moved down here, I was planning on returning back to North Carolina, and I just fell in love with South Carolina, the whole state, and certainly the upstate. So I've seen tremendous growth. I've now seen traffic issues.
Mm-hmm.
Used to have a lot of workarounds in the area, but now everybody knows them. So, you're seeing that growth issue. So,
Rick, when you talk about Greenville as a market, and I don't want to throw too many numbers because you guys know the numbers, but I'm going to go with one from Allied Movers. They do an annual mitigation report, and their mitigation report found that Greenville is the number 2 inbound city as far as people moving to. More people are moving here than moving out. Ranks number 2 in the country behind Charlotte. What are you seeing in the Greenville market?
I think the influx of people from literally all over the country has been sort of staggering. And this is just me and my small company, but I've sold houses in the last 5 years to multiple people from the West Coast, Midwest. Last year we sold 2 houses to people from California that never saw the houses until they got here. Other than a Zoom call with their buyer's agent. So it's, and then paying cash for property. So it's been sort of a different dynamic than we've been used to, for sure. And that's a small sampling, but I think it does represent that, this is the destination, and sometimes it's escaping from certain things, and sometimes it's running to things. I think Greenville is like John said, is such a great destination. Spartanburg, Anderson, and even the little, I guess, bedroom communities of those anchor cities have all shown their own growth and their willingness to transform themselves and make themselves attractive to people from other parts of the country.
John, you see the deals that are getting made. Obviously, they come across your desk every day. And, if you don't go to downtown Greenville for 6 weeks, you'll walk down there and say, what's that? And, when they built Camper down, it's like, who all was going to move in all those condos and apartments? And they weren't gone just like that, weren't they?
They were. I think when I first saw that, you were talking about some price point of $1 million for some of those. And I was like, I don't know. But boy, they went like hotcakes. And downtown Greenville, and like I said, the whole upstate is just hot. And it's been hot for a while.
We talked about Greenville a lot. Let's also talk about Spartanburg now. Again, another number. This comes from One Spartanburg. They say their metro area between July 23 and 24 made them the 10th fastest growing metro area in the country. They said they picked up overall 10,500 residents. Rick, what are you seeing in the Spartanburg area these days?
Well, I think Spartanburg's been more affordable, and yet now not as much as the differentiation now between Greenville and Spartanburg is shrunk. So, but builders are coming in here. There's still land in Spartanburg County. I've got a 70-acre tract of property in Spartanburg County that developers have under contract to build 125 homes. So, I mean, it continues to grow. The quality of Spartanburg is so great. New buildings coupled with the old, so it's architecturally it's pleasing. The new restaurants, shops, it's just a vibrant, fun area. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about, plus they just built a brand new ballpark. It seemed like it took them about 10 minutes to build it. The Fifth Third Park, and I just look at that area and I think of Fluor Field and what that has expanded out over to the last 20 years. I mean, do you think the same thing will happen?
I think so. As long as the growth continues, as long as we've got great power brokers in all of our, 3 anchor cities. So it's not just the government, but the people that are really running the businesses have done a fantastic job of cultivating businesses from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. I mean, you look at the big companies that are based in the upstate of South Carolina, and it's a great representation of corporations from all over.
John, what kind of reputation do you think the upstate has now? I know you touched a little bit on it. We talked a lot about Greenville specific, but from your end of the business.
I think it's fantastic. I just think, I'll travel and tell people I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, and I mean, no matter where I am, I mean, they're like, oh my goodness, we were there last year, we came through, we didn't know what was there. It's amazing, it really is.
Let's talk about, something, John, right down your alley, obviously, and it's mortgage rates, it's interest rates. And I know it's kind of a political football right now. I don't really want to get into the politics of it, but where is affording the American dream stand right now?
Well, Fred, I think we need to get in the politics of it. No, I'm just kidding.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, I think we had a period of some very low mortgage rates. I've been in this industry a long time. I don't know that we'll ever see something with a 2% on it or a 3% or a 4%. Current rates are around the 6.5 range for first-time home buyers right now. Historically, that's a great rate. I think if you're looking to buy a home, work on your budget, look at those things. Rates are not bad. Historically, they're fantastic. So I don't see that being a big deterrent.
Rick, what's the, from the standpoint of being, a buyer or seller right now, I guess obviously a buyer, what kind of a factor is mortgage rates and just the cost these days?
I mean, I think it's been factored in. I mean, at least, the buyers that have done their homework understand that they've got to get that piece of the puzzle out of the way before they even start looking for a home, or they should, and they should be advised to do so. Talk to your bank, your credit union, your mortgage broker, whoever that person is, and get pre-qualified. And also, not only get pre-qualified, but understand what that payment looks like based on the interest rate. What is my monthly payment going to be? So, once you get that out of the way, then you start that process. And I'm not telling you anything that anybody else isn't going to tell you, but it's amazing how many people do start looking at homes before they even have any idea about what they qualify for.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah.
Touching on that's the great point, Rick. I really do think the first thing a consumer needs to do is they need to look at their budget and start doing some planning and making sure that the house prices they're looking for, they're going to be able to afford. A good rule of thumb is on your gross income is to look about 25 to 30% going to your mortgage, to your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. I think if you look at that area, I think you'll be in the ballpark when you're looking for a mortgage. I will tell you this: Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have two great free homebuyer education courses online that'll walk a borrower through the whole process. I think Fannie Mae's is the Home View. You can just Google that, and I will say Freddie Mac's credit homebuyer education program is just fantastic, and they're all free online.
I want to get to the kind of the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s of, looking for a realtor, buying a house, and then getting into a mortgage coming up in a few minutes too. Another factor let me ask you about, because we're 10 months as we record removed from Helene, is home insurance costs, is that a factor now?
I tell you, we are seeing some increases for sure, and that's one of the things when you're doing the budget process, when you're thinking about your mortgage payment. Factor in that things can change with your taxes and insurance. When you lock in a mortgage rate and a fixed loan, the principal and interest aren't going to change, but your taxes can get higher, and your insurance can get higher. So you want to factor that in a little bit. And if you get an increase on your insurance, you certainly want to shop around and see if maybe that you can get a little bit better deal. But yes, we've seen that a lot.
Well, I think one of the things, especially for first-time home buyers, is the rental rates in our market have just skyrocketed. And I don't care if you're renting a house, an apartment. So, that exponent can be a critical factor in terms of deciding when you need to start the home buying process. But it is a budget issue, and I think not enough people are conscious about that when they start that process. At least a lot of young people that I talk to.
I mean, we're seeing, a generation. We didn't get a chance to learn too much in school about this kind of thing. And there's a lot of people that think that we should have regular courses on how to handle money in high school and that kind of thing. And where do you just start? Let's talk first of all from the aspect of you want to buy a house. When you search for a realtor, outside of course, Custom Realty as being one you would want to consider very quickly, obviously, what's the first kind of step that you should take when it comes to looking for a realtor and really beginning to look for buying a place to live?
I think you talk to people that you know and trust. I think in any other major decision, you want to find out somebody that one of your friends, family members have had good success with. And there are a fair amount of reviews out there. Websites are so prevalent now. There's a lot of information that's available. Don't just call on a sign and go look at a house. I mean, I've gotten a lot of good clients that way, but I would recommend at least doing your homework, just like you would in the funding component of this process before you engage with a realtor. And now you're pretty much required to at least commit to that agent for that one showing on paper before you even are allowed to see the house. So, there have been a lot of legal changes in the way we do business, a lot of recommendations from the National Association of Realtors as well. It's a different process than it was even 2 years ago.
I'll touch on that too, Rick. Those are great points. I really think the consumer really does need to sit down with their significant other, their family, and figure out their budget and what they can afford, and get a little prepared before you reach out to a realtor or even a mortgage lender. Realtors and mortgage folks, they're not financial planners. They're going to offer, they're going to show you homes and your price point, and we're going to help you with loan products. But you do really want to look at your budget and make sure you've got your ducks in a row. Like I said, the two home buyer education courses that are free online I mentioned are great to go over budgeting, credit, those items, so you're prepared when you go meet with a realtor and a mortgage lender.
All right, we want to continue our discussion with Rick and John. We're talking about So You Decided to Buy a Home. We'll have much more in just a moment here on WSPA Plus. Back now with Rick Horne, John Higdon, talking about the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of how to buy a house and how to get that mortgage for. You've touched a lot on some great courses online, that kind of thing. Let's talk about selling now. Rick, what are you seeing as far as people trying to sell their homes?
It's a different world than even it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, even just post-COVID, you stuck a sign in your yard and your house is selling in 4 hours or less. Now you really have to put your best foot forward again. You know, you need to repair those items that need repairing. You need to clean. You need to, lawn maintenance, the whole gamut, to make sure that when you do list your house, you're putting your best foot forward. And the buyer is a lot more discerning. So I think we've got more inventory now than we had, and even 12 months ago. So houses, average days on the market in our market is about 2.25 times what it was 18 months ago. And in other parts of the country, it's 2.5 to 3 times longer cycle than it was 18 months ago. So it's really, really important to make sure that your house is prepared and ready to go before you do list it.
What do you think's the change? You mentioned that COVID was kind of where it kind of hit that level, and now it's gone back the other way.
I think real estate's local, first of all, right? We're 3, 4, 5 upstate counties, depending on how you look at where we live. Then you can get down even further, getting into Greenwood and Lawrence. We're such a destination now that we sort of miss the rest of the country. But I think people are a lot more people are working from home. I think they look at their home in a different manner. It's not just a place to sleep and eat. I've got 2 daughters that before COVID, went into the office every day. Now they go into the office twice a week. So I think just the psychological factor of living from home and spending more time there changes that dynamic. Interest rates are a little bit of a factor too. I think when the last election took place, people thought interest rates were going to drop off and we were going to be back at 3%. And now the reality that the economy is somewhat blind to that has changed people's thoughts.
John, what are you saying along those lines?
Yeah, I think the same thing. And like I touched on earlier, I think rates historically are in a good place. And once again, they used to say you marry the house and you date the rate or whatever. I don't. There's a little good and bad about that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, 6.5 are not bad rates. If you find a good the home that meets your family needs and your long-term plans or your short-term plans, make a deal for it. Like Rick touched on, rents are sky high in this area. So if you're going to be here for a while, I would look at getting a home in your price point. Again, if rates go down, very easy to refinance. But again, historically, we're looking fine on the rates.
Are you seeing much refinancing now with these numbers back up compared to what they were just about 3 or 4 years ago?
Fred, we do see some refinances, but unfortunately, let me say this. You'll see people that are moving for jobs. That happens, of course. Unfortunately, you'll see maybe a divorce situation or that can happen, and then you're gonna see that. Also, home improvement. Rates have not, they've been higher for a little time now. All of a sudden, you've got things at your home that need to be worked on. So they're looking at maybe refinancing, getting some cash out if needed, kind of stuff. So we are seeing some. I would say our purchase business probably is more around the 75, 80%, but we are seeing some refinances.
Well, and you look at houses too, Fred. My house we currently live in, we bought 3 years ago, and when we closed, they were writing contracts in the same neighborhood for $150,000 more than we just closed on for the same square footage. So,
wow.
The return on investment is really strong. Is that rate going to continue? And it all depends on, of course, where you are. But I think everybody across the board, if you bought a house 5 years ago, you've had significant appreciation in that value.
That's good news. You mentioned the historics part of it. I've got one more number from you from bankrate.com. 1981. Fortunately, we were all consumed watching basketball and football and not really caring too much about the fact that the 30-year fix, an average rate, was just over 16.
Crazy.
That just blows my mind. Can you imagine if, we're not even halfway there right now, and it's still an issue in a way.
First home I bought 9.5%, and I tell my kids that. But you also have to factor in that the house was, the little condo was $65,000.
Right.
So
That's a great point.
It's a math equation, right? I mean, and it's a budgetary, like John has mentioned. You've got to stay within your budget, and regardless of how much you make, you've got to stay within your budgetary parameters. So.
I'm calling this So You Decided to Buy a Home, but let's also talk about what if So You Decided to Build a Home. What are you seeing as far as these new homes going? There's a place across the street from where I live. It was a big property with 2 little houses on it. They sold it because the taxes were so high, and now there's huge equipment in there a week later, and I've got a lot of neighbors coming.
A lot of the builders that left our market 15, 20 years ago are coming back into the market. Lennar Homes left for a while. They've been back in a great force. Pulte Homes left the market. We've got national, regional builders from, D.R. Horton is one of the larger in the area, and they're from out of Texas. And that's not even the custom builders. The custom builders have still done a great job. It tends to be a higher price point. The custom builders are starting more and now at the probably $500,000 and up sort of area. But new construction is rocking. In fact, new construction is moving forward at a pace that's hurt some resale people. So,
John, what's a good age? Rick mentioned, he's got daughters that are into that mode now. I've got a daughter; she might not be far from there. Is it age? Is it your job? Is it your income? Is it your future? Or is it just all of that?
I think it's a whole combination. I would think, though, if you have college-age kids or just getting out of school, you want to make sure they've established their credit. It doesn't take that much to establish your credit. Get a credit card or two. Make sure they understand the importance of paying it off each month. You laugh, but
no,
yeah, they really need to understand that. But I really think if go to your local bank, see if you can get a credit card set up for them. Not a authorized user card. They need it to be in their name, so they start establishing credit. But you want to get that, and then I think you really want to start thinking. Once you get your first job, start thinking about where you want to be in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and start looking at a budget. And then if you're going to be in the area for extended length of time, I think it really is time to start maybe roll up the sleeves and start looking at purchasing a home. I mean, Rick mentioned the kind of quick equity you're seeing in this market, and the price of renting versus the price of owning. If you're within your budget, I think it's good to move forward and think about the future.
One thing we didn't touch on is maintenance. If you
Great
live in an
point.
apartment and you and your buddy or your friend or whatever, and you're $2,000 and something breaks, you call up maintenance and they come and fix it. When your water heater goes out in your house, that's on you. So, those are when you do put your budget together, the maintenance of the property and upkeep need to be certainly factored in.
Fred, I want to echo that. I'm really glad Rick brought that up. That is the one thing when I see mortgages, you said earlier, come across my desk, you'll see some tight ratios on their payment to what they make their income. And you do get the thought of, do they understand that, boy, if the first month or second month, the AC is going to go out. Or, I mean, we all know, we've all owned homes, especially when you're looking to, 7, 8, 10 days of 100+ temperature. So you do need to factor that in. Make sure you've got a cushion. I mean, don't, if you can, you find a good opportunity for a home, it looks good, but make sure you've got some backup and some reserve money just to cover yourself, because it will come up, and it comes up with every homeowner, and it comes up about every month. So we all know that.
I'm even frightened to even bring this up because I've had a run where it's just been one of those, kind of one after the other. I mean, I've been in my house for more than 20 years. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary, but man, they can come at you in a hurry, and the next thing you know, you're just like, well, it's hot dogs for dinner.
Fred, it's the truth. It is the truth. I mean, every month something comes up. It's your air conditioning's out today. Oh, you've got a plumbing issue, or a water issue, I'm not the best fix-it-up guy myself. Some people are great at that. Look, I've got some friends that are very good at that. But boy, you end up it can ruin a budget. I still remember getting out of school, you start to save some money for a home or some other things. Boy, all of a sudden you got a car issue or something like that. And, when if you're like me, you go to the car dealership or, to the repair shop, it's whatever they say, I don't know anything about cars. So, you're sort of at their mercy.
Also, from a maintenance standpoint, the deductible on your homeowner's insurance. A lot of the homeowners insurance now, everybody's so conscious about making sure they get a good rate, but some of the deductibles are as high as 2 and 3% of the value of the home. So if you have a $300,000 home and you're at 2%, I mean, they're not covering anything until $6,000 has been spent.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's a shock to people. So sometimes make sure you really look at that insurance and see what you're getting, because your air conditioner goes out, you're financing an air conditioner at 20%. So
yeah, I can see it. Got time for one more question. Of course, it's the big question. Rick, how many Clemson football games do the Tigers win this year?
Ooh, I think we're going to lose one somewhere. I don't know where that's going to be. I hope it's not the first one. I'm going to be at most of them, and yelling and screaming and excited about the season.
John, Wake Forest Demon Deacons record this year is?
I think we're going to get 6 wins and be bowl eligible, I hope. I know that's a little bit more aggressive, but at least we got Clemson off our schedule now. So we don't have our usual beating that we have to take.
They'll be back one of these days. That's the way it works. Rick Horne with the broker in charge, owner of Custom Realty, John Higdon, Senior Vice President, Mortgage Division, First Reliance Bank. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks for giving us an education on buying a home.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks for having us, Fred.
Good to have you with us. And thanks for being with us on Fred the Show. We'll see you next time.